Hey my lovelies, I hope you're all safe and well. It's Mitch here. I'm just coming on to do this Wednesday's Facebook card reveals for you all. Apologies if I look a little bit weathered and a little bit tired. I had a really bad night's sleep. Not helped with being up with little man for most of the night with different things. He's had a bit of a weird kind of guts situation. He's okay now, but I had to take him to the vets earlier. I think he ate something in the garden that he shouldn't have done, and it didn't particularly repeat very nicely on him, so he was sick half the night. So I'm feeling like really like, oh, like hanging today. But such is the joys of having our little fur babies. But he's all cool now. Anyway, so let's have a look at these cards. So as we're going into card number 1, we're going into the energies of the card of strength. When strength shows, this takes us into a space where it's really being celebrated, it's really being encouraged to recognize your own personal strength. And sometimes it's not until we're met with something, until we're presented with something, that we realize how strong we actually are. You know, there's things that I've had happen and been through the last sort of 3 or 4 years, which if you'd have said to me, you're going to have to go through this stuff, I'd have been like, oh, I'm not sure if I've actually got the physical strength or the mental strength for that. But then when you go through it, it's like, okay, you know, so sometimes that's what this is about. So it could just be a little bit of a stop and recognizing how far you've come, the journey that you've been on, the twists and turns, and yeah, just recognizing your own strength. The other thing with strength is I can't speak. It's one of those days, isn't it? Oh dear. The other thing with the card of strength is it's about being able to overcome the beast. So, you know, sometimes people get so overwhelmed with a thought pattern, an idea, something that is being presented, but strength doesn't give up. Strength doesn't buckle under pressure. So even if things are feeling really trying, really testing, they might have been really awful and just really heavy, strength will find the way to come out back on top. They will find the way to sort of tame the beast. And what I love with this particular pictation is this cute little dog is literally riding the lion, and there's this real, it's almost like that kind of Katy Perry song, you know, and you're gonna hear me roar. It's that sort of like really taming the beast. It's really sort of coming out on top and not being victimized by circumstances, situations, things that maybe we can't control, things that maybe do show up for us that are really testing and really awful, but we still owe it to ourselves to keep going. I've said before in previous readings, and I will say it again, strength card also shows a lot when there's a mother's love coming in from the world of spirit, or perhaps a parental figure, just giving you that kind of reminder that it's not just the strength you carry on the earth, there's this energetic strength for you from the world of spirit, and all you have to do is feel into that with your heart, to really feel it, to draw upon it. You know, so there may be like a mum, a nan, somebody that you saw as a very important sort of maternal figure that just offers you a little bit of that kind of energetic strength as well. But essentially, there might be a bit of a speed bump in the road, but you will find the courage, the bravery, and the way to overcome the setback, the hurdle, the rejigging of life that sometimes kind of happens, you know. So, and if you've come out the other side, and if you're starting to see the win and the victory, then it is this recognition of what you've been through, and it's really celebrating your own internal strength to get to this stage. So I hope you can make sense of that if you've been drawn to card number 1. Now then, as we're moving into the cycles of card number 2, we're going into the energy of death. Death essentially is bringing in some change, and sometimes this is change that we have to sort of facilitate, we have to actually act upon, and sometimes this is an external situation happening that we don't have control of, and so it might be the completion of a life cycle. So from a practical space, death can show if maybe somebody is near the point of transitioning to the world of spirit. So maybe some of you guys have recently lost people, very important, very dear to you. Maybe you are literally going through that cycle where you're about to lose somebody to the world of spirit. And if that is happening, just know and trust that, you know, death isn't the end. And what I love with this particular pictation is we have the character of death, but he's standing in front of this beautiful doorway to the spirit world, and all these beautiful rainbow colours are coming off. So death is not the end, it's just the next phase, it's the next cycle of our journey, of our story, of our adventure. But on a more practical level, if you haven't got any sort of physical death going on, then I'm very pleased about that. But on a more practical level, death is all about basically some situations may have, come to close. They've maybe come to be. Maybe you've outgrown some things and change now has to happen. And often with death, it's about real recognition. It's about really recognizing that this really doesn't work for me anymore. I can no longer twist, I can no longer bend, I can no longer adjust my energy to sort of try and fit in with this. This is really being highlighted that it doesn't serve, it doesn't work, and I need to make some changes. So death is actually detaching. It's about sort of tapping out, and it's removing the things that maybe are no longer serving you. Those could be relationships, both, just energetically and romantically. It could be jobs that you've outgrown and they're just really not working for you anymore. It could be sort of ways you've been living your life, so lifestyle, that can represent sort of going into behavior patterns as well. There could be friendship circles or family members that, whilst maybe you love them dearly, maybe they're not actually good enough to be in your world or to be in your life, or maybe they compromise your life too much. And so sometimes the people we love the most, we also have to set free. But death is about welcoming in change, and it's about being brave enough to sort of go past this kind of version of death and sort of move into that sort of new doorway, and to open up to access new beginnings, new adventures, new magic. And the most important thing with the death card, which I think people often forget, is it wants to bring in peace. Whatever has to happen, the end goal of death is actually peace prevailing, peace coming into your world. So if you're actually not at peace, or if you haven't got peace in your life, this is the main message of what wants to come in for you, finding a way to work through whatever has to take place, whatever has to happen, for you to start to receive peace, peace prevailing in your world, peace prevailing in your life, in whatever way, in whatever structure. And if you've got physical loved ones that are struggling with illness or battling, detrimental health problems, transition is always very overwhelming, very scary, but also it's kinder if people are able to go to the spirit world and to not be suffering, to not be in pain anymore, for the next stage of their journey. So depending which piece you're up against and which piece you're going through, and some people might be going through a cycle of both, will determine which piece makes sense. But essentially, peace can prevail longer term, if that makes sense for you guys. And finally, as we're moving into card number 3, we're going into the energies of the Wheel of Fortune. I really like this pictation, trying to bring it in a little bit closer, so hopefully you can see it a bit better there. So Wheel of Fortune, one day things are up, the next day things are down. It's like a big old hamster wheel of life. Everything is temporary, everything is just in a stage of evolving. And Wheel of Fortune comes in a lot. If you've had like a run of negativity, usually there's going to be a twist, a turn, something more positive usually shows up. So Wheel of Fortune is often seen as like a good luck kind of card. It's often seen as like Lady Luck of the Tarot, and the wheel sort of turning for the better. So, if you've been through a bit of a negative cycle, usually we've got that sort of snake, which is shedding that old layer of energy, that old layer of skin, and something new happening, something new kind of being born, or kind of being created. Wheel of Fortune comes in a lot when we're really tapping into our higher magic, our higher consciousness, our higher purpose. So some of you might be doing sort of a lot of study at the moment. There could be courses, workshops, types of learning that you're wanting to embark on. Those could be spiritually based, but they might also be practical stuff as well. And it's essentially doing things that can add more magic to your sort of bow, essentially, in terms of just knowledge and power and wisdom. And if you decide to take that into something more, then that's available as well. The other thing is about life purpose. Wheel of Fortune shows a lot when we're really tapping into our life purpose. So you might be making some sort of changes, but they won't feel negative, they won't feel bad. There'll be positive changes, and really investing in yourself, really doing what matters and what feels good for you. So this wheel is sort of turning for the better, but sometimes things don't feel like that when we're having to go through the crossovers, but something really fabulous will come in for you. So it's a time to really do a bit of soul searching. What makes you happy? What makes you feel alive? Where do you feel connected to at this stage of life? Forget about all the qualifications or the great stuff you've got access to. Where do you actually feel you want to be at the moment? Because sometimes, you know, with the Wheel of Fortune, we have lots of great things we can do, but they maybe don't feel like they're serving us at the moment. And so it's really going into that heart space and that soul space. What do you want from your life? And it's those questions to start asking. And once you know what they are, you can start to form a plan to create those, to bring those into realization. But you have to sort of sometimes know what you're aiming for before it can all evolve. So we've got a bit of that going on as well. So I hope you can make sense of these cards. I'm going to leave their messages with you. A couple of cheeky shouts just to say that this coming Friday, I'm over in Colour and Crystals. I believe we have 2 spaces left. So the last 2 spaces are left. So, you know, you can either have them as 2 half-an-hour sessions, or if you're somebody that wants an hour session with me, you can book both spaces and have a whole hour slot. So contact Colour and Crystals, Joe or Donna, and they can get you booked in for that one. Now, Sunday, I'm meant to be doing the Dog Fate and Fair in Somerset and Dorset Animal Rescue Centre, Wincanton. I am just going to put a little bit of a disclaimer out there to say, if you've booked a space to sort of see me, keep an eye on your messages, because the weather is very up and down here at the moment. And, you know, unfortunately, I was due to do this before and it got cancelled due to extreme weather. And hopefully that's not going to happen. Hopefully it's going to be dry enough or okay enough to still partake. But we've had quite a lot of rain sort of today and over the last few days. And I'm just thinking, if this pattern continues, it may well be that they decide to sort of like call time and to sort of not go ahead. So make sure if you've booked a session with me, you've got access to your messages. And if anything changes, if I hear of anything, because it will be down to the event organizer. So if anything changes at the last minute or whatever, I will obviously message people and let you know. I'm hoping it's all going to be okay and it's all going to go ahead, because it'll be a lovely day to do. But British weather, it's an outside event, September, this time of year, we've got to be a bit realistic. So if it does get cancelled, it will be beyond my control, but I'm just going to pre-warn you guys. So keeping everything crossed, but there is the slim chance we may get a little bit of an adjustment. But we'll see what the day brings. But I will keep you guys updated for those that it affects directly. So I think that's all I need to say. Keep shining bright. Have a beautiful week ahead, what's left of it. And I will catch up with you lovelies very soon. Take care. Much love. Bye for now.